decades, humanity has reported encounters with the unknown. Lights in the sky, craft beyond our understanding, and programs hidden in the shadows. Now, the truth may finally be emerging. This is the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Hell yeah.
Oh, we are back.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It feels like it's been a month or something.
I know. It feels way longer than it has. Loyal listeners will know we took last week off for Easter, and I hope everyone did enjoy their Easter.
Yes, it was nice.
And I'm really excited about today's topic. And I'm so excited that I skipped my normal spiel. This is the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast, episode 160. That is I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
And I am Topher, and I couldn't think of a fun nickname in time, so we're just regular old Topher today.
All right. Well, we love Topher. Nothing regular about Topher.
Not at all.
That's for sure. So, yes, we are going to be talking about deep underground military bases today, which used to be a crazy conspiracy theory, but it just makes logical sense when you look at the historical record. I mean, when you look at what other countries have been doing, it's not crazy. So I don't even know why in the 90s or the early 2000s it was such a, crazy theory.
You know why.
I mean, yes, but it just shows you how all of us are so easily swayed and brainwashed,
yes.
Right?
And I've got a question for all those people out there that said underground bases were crazy. Who's crazy now?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Exactly. And it's basically mainstream news now.
It's interesting, but in a good way, how the public opinion of these kind of conspiracies is rapidly changing. Like I remember the 9/11 movement, for example, 9/11 truth movement, I should say. That was considered crazy by a lot of people, and you were looked down on if you
truthers, they called them.
Yeah, if you didn't consider questioning the narrative. If you consider questioning the narrative, you were considered a psycho or a weirdo or just an out there lad, anti-American. Yeah. And it's funny that they even used the term, like you said, truther, as a derogatory way to put it. When, hey, someone who's looking for the truth, there's nothing wrong with that. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. It is crazy how it worked. Yeah. And even bringing up a more recent example, the whole Epstein stuff, that was considered a way out there wacko theory. Like, what you think the government is run by pedophiles? You think Pizzagate was a real thing? And now here we are. And one major good thing that came out of COVID and the lockdowns, I think, is that it opened up a lot of people to this. A lot of people realize, like, wait a second, none of this is adding up. This doesn't make sense, especially something as simple as the lab leak theory, where everyone was going like, oh, you're a racist if you think that's true. Whereas it comes full circle and goes, oh, wait, that was the truth. So why were you lying to us in the beginning? What else have you been lying to us about?
Exactly.
It opened up a lot of people. So
and people were home and they were online. I think because most of the population wasn't really online as much. Like, they check their emails, they check their Facebook, they stuff like that. But when you lock people into the homes, then they have way more time online. And if you have time online, you are eventually going to get into these conspiracies and you're going to watch these videos and read and that a lot of that happened during COVID. And yes, it's because then they linked it to what was happening then with the lab leak and they were shutting down accounts. God, there was so much censorship just for saying something different in the narrative. Like any deviation, you just get shut down your account wherever it was. Remember, like Robert Malone going into Joe Rogan and how they treated Joe Rogan. Yeah,
yes,
all that.
Of course I remember. Yeah. I was sitting there getting bombarded with information back then. It was awful. Bombarded with bad information.
Bad information, yeah. But they were calling, the truth misinformation instead.
Of course. That's the playbook.
So yeah, the point is that I think people have a much more open mind these days. And God, the 90s was just a different world. It really was.
Oh, yeah.
Even though these things were built, way before that, probably 50s, 60s, 70s. So we'll go through, and I didn't know this, but Paul Benowitz was the one who figured out the Dulce Base. The guy that that the Air Force drove crazy, drove him mad, basically. But he's the one who saw the lights and apparently communicated with the aliens underground.
But he wasn't the one that found the documents that proved that Dulce was around.
Right. But I didn't know that he was involved in the whole Dulce thing. I knew that he saw some stuff that the NSA was doing, or at least that's what the Air Force told him, right? And then they made it crazy. But I didn't know it was involved with this. But Phil Schneider was one of the big ones that came out in the 90s with it. And also, and we can start there, his father was part of Project Paperclip, which...
Well, that is interesting.
Yes.
Otto Schneider.
Yeah.
Otto Oscar Schneider, born in Germany on the 22nd of January, 1906, 2 years before the famous asteroid supposedly blew up over Siberia.
That's right. Yes.
Served as a U-boat captain for NS Germany during World War II. Schneider was repatriated into U.S. naval intelligence during Operation Paperclip and was used in helping to develop nuclear submarines. Wowzers.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah. So he's the father of Phil Schneider.
Did not know that.
Me neither. Not until today. So yeah, Bethesda. So both of them, both father and son Schneiders, died in the mid 1990s, about two and a half years apart. Sad.
Yeah, it is sad. The Grenada Treaty, we probably could do a full episode on at some point.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know why it's in this, but it's a wiki. It's a fandom wiki. Yeah.
So Dulce Base, it kind of sounds like that might be a big chunk of what we're talking about today. And this is like one of the more, I don't want to say like well-known conspiracies, but it's pretty widespread. People at least in the conspiracy world, if you mention Dulce Base, they know immediately what you're talking about. Right. But what interests me most about these D.U.M.Bs, as you put them, D.U.M.Bs,
deep underground military bases. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, is that they're probably scattered all across not just the United States but the world, and we just don't know about them.
Oh yeah.
Like there's not even, the conspiracy is not like, oh, there's one here, there's one at Dulce Base. The conspiracy is that they are all the way throughout the United States at the very least.
And people like Catherine Austin Fitz, they've identified, I think, 170. She thinks there's way more in the United States, but there's like 170. And she's the one who details the missing trillions. She says it's upwards of $21 trillion that were missing. And a lot of that was used to build this infrastructure in the United States.
And the second that a journalist or another lower, less powerful government agency starts looking into this, the journalist will either die or an airplane will get flown into the wing of their building that has all the information on this.
Right, exactly.
Which, very interesting coincidence that this kind of thing keeps happening.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting you say that because when the Pentagon was hit, it wasn't just where that they were seeing the missing money, but it was also the Office of Naval Intelligence. Their whole office and infrastructure was taken out that day as well.
Yeah, that's weird.
Isn't that weird? Out of that so weird entire building, yeah, they just go right there.
That's the fun thing about being a conspiracy researcher, I'll say, is you keep coming across a lot of coinkydinks.
Yes,
a lot of them.
Exactly. You keep the information in your head, and then when something happens, you map it right back. Like, aha! Wait a minute.
Well, you start looking into these things, whether it's Roswell or Dulce Base, for instance. You go, oh, this person died under mysterious circumstances. That's odd. Or all these people who are involved with nuclear fission. All these scientists who keep disappearing. It's scary stuff, man.
It's very suspicious. That's a very small community, as Tim Burchett would say, and it's odd. So, like you said, yeah, Dulce is the most famous one, probably because here we go. Dulce Base research and exposure circulated among UFO groups throughout the 90s. That's probably why when the internet was first starting out, the works of Jason Bishop III, Bill Hamilton, and Tal was under heavy scrutiny by several UFO communities. Phil Schneider's public claims came out in 1995. Wow, the year I graduated high school. Damn.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
Branton Group. So this is the book compiled Dulce research material with commentary into the Dulce book, published in 1996. It's a pretty big book.
Phil Schneider claimed to be an engineer who worked on several underground installations, including Dulce Base. He also claimed to have been one of the escapees of the 1979 Dulce Wars. Now, we will touch on the Dulce Wars, I'm assuming,
Skim it. Yeah.
Throughout this episode, but I would love to do a deep dive on the 1979 Dulce Wars, because that's
specifically okay.
That is a very fun read. I think there's enough material to do a full episode on it, and it's out there. Anyway, I'll keep going here. Schneider alleged that a scar on his chest was from a radiation weapon blast that occurred during his escape from Dulce Base in 1979. Some have confirmed that a large scar did indeed exist. He believed that his cancer was caused from exposure to what he called, in quotes, cobalt radiation.
Yeah.
And then, big caveat, but again, this is conspiracy. This is where we live.
Yes.
Although none of Philip Schneider's claims have ever been proven, his public talks on Dulce Base may have been causing an upset in shadowy places right at the exact time that Carla Turner was making public awareness of MK Ultra programming.
Yeah, and his death was weird too, right?
Yeah, it looks like we're about to cover it right here.
I mean, he was he had a lot of issues. Like they said, he had cancer and stuff like that. But I love how they say he claimed he was an engineer. I thought at least that was not a claim, right? Weird. Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't looked into Phil Schneider too deeply because it's hard to. There's so much attack information used against him.
Right, of course, when it comes to any subjects like these. So, I mean, here's his death. There's an official version, and then I think his wife came in and said that it's suspicious. But Phil Schneider had a 9mm handgun that he had borrowed to protect himself. Schneider had often made public that he was marked for death. Quote, if I ever commit suicide, Schneider told a close friend, I'll have been murdered. Schneider gave his last lecture in Denver, Colorado, 2 months before his alleged murder.
Or alleged suicide, depending on how you want to phrase that sentence.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's not suspicious at all, huh?
Not at all.
So he was found dead in his home in Wilsonville, Oregon, in a Wilsonville, Oregon apartment. He had apparently been dead for several days. His body was found in what appeared to be in an unusual position. His feet were under the bed. His head was in a wheelchair seat at an unusual angle, and the rest of his body was on the floor, hands by his side. Blood was found on the floor near his wheelchair, but no blood was found on his wheelchair. No wounds were on his body to account for the blood. No suicide note was ever found.
Schneider's death was considered to be caused by a heart attack, but later analysis showed impressions around his neck, the width of a catheter tube, that suggested his death was motivated by strangulation. His surviving wife Cynthia has stated that U.S. intelligence operatives have thoroughly searched their home shortly after his death and made off with at least a third of the family photographs. And that's not suspicious. Cynthia also observed that Phil's lecture material and notes for his unwritten book on UFOs also went missing from his apartment, yet money and valuables remained untouched. Yeah.
So it's kind of obvious, isn't it? They're sending a message.
Yeah.
Sending a message to the community, probably.
Yes.
I
was just thinking about the recent you probably saw a couple years ago, Afro Man got robbed by the sheriff.
And he won in court. That was awesome.
Well, yeah, he won. He had a case against him for libel, which he was proved, he was found not guilty, or I don't know how it works in civil court, if it's guilty or not guilty or whatever. But
yeah,
I was just thinking the same thing. The cops like banged down his door. They were taking his money, like stealing all of his stuff. And it sounds like it, not exactly similar, but I don't know. My mind just went there.
But also it is what they do. I mean, if you listen to any of these former spooks, they say that's what they do. They go in. It happened to Lazar too, if you want to believe that. People like Kiriakou, he said when they used to go overseas, the local intelligence officers would come into their homes, ruffle some things up, move stuff around, just to send a message. Mm-hmm. So it is protocol when these guys are involved.
It's also what oh God, who was that guy in the 70s? He had a cult. They ended up killing that actress.
Jones.
No.
Jonestown.
No. Jonestown was mass suicide. They lived in like L.A. in the 70s. They made oh god, why am I blanking on it? Helter Skelter. Does that ring any bells?
It does a little, yeah. Maybe I don't know.
They were all on acid. You know about it. It's a very famous thing. But anyway, they would break into people's homes and move stuff around to make them go. But they were all on acid
just to fuck with people.
Yeah, so it seems like a pretty common way to screw with people. Which in all fairness would be completely freaky if you came home and all your stuff was moved around.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I would. I mean, especially if they just targeted what to move around, like we're watching you kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what, they did this to random people?
Yeah.
Or was it targeted?
It's thing with Charles Manson.
Oh yeah, okay, Charles Manson. Yeah. Oh yeah, yes, they did that.
Yeah, they were just. I don't know if it was like they were just
messing around.
Hippies on acid. They weren't just messing around. They killed that woman.
Yes, they did. And funny enough, he apparently was an MK Ultra victim.
Yeah,
which is linked to all of this as well. All right, so I mean, we can move on. Obviously, his wife said testimony, and she didn't think that he died of suicide, but that he was murdered.
Yes, and just based on the scant amount of evidence we've read here, it definitely does not look good for the gov.
Right, and there was no investigation either, and when that happens,
Yeah, no, I keep hearing about things like that where people will die from a quote unquote heart attack, and then for whatever reason they're cremated like 6 hours later. It's like, well, okay.
Seems very efficient. These videos are from the 90s, so they are split up, each one of them. But for those who haven't watched Schneider, he's definitely a character, and why not put this as a matter of record before maybe these videos might be all taken down? Who knows? I'm surprised it's on YouTube.
Yeah, me too.
Actually, all right. So this is Phil Schneider Part 1.
I'm Phil Schneider. I spent 17 years in black budget programs. Government geologist, as engineer, structural engineer with aerospace applications.
Man, the mics really sucked in the 90s, huh? I might try to extract just the audio from here and have a good audio.
It's okay. It doesn't sound too bad on my end. Like I can understand what he's saying.
All right, perfect.
Self-taught metallurgist, became kind of famous in my own right. I basically would have a set of notes here, but they're unavailable in all this melee. Up here I have different artifacts explaining some of them are alien metals that have been produced both on this planet and the confines of outer space that are now used in all stealth aircraft. All stealth aircraft, for instance, all black jets, what you're seeing of black helicopters and the like, the skins and the coatings and the residues that are used predominantly in the aircraft themselves, in the airframes and the rotor blades and the fans, and in some cases in submarines, special titanium hulls in the Phoenix class submarines now. All this has come from alien technology. 1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. Now, Army cavalry evidently were chasing some bandits, and they entered this cave. They were holed up in a cave, and what they found in there was flying discs and little gray guys and all kinds of weird things, and they didn't know how to explain that, and they wrote them down as best they could, and it's been in secret archives ever since. And it's up down by the Truth or Consequences area of New Mexico. Well, the alien thing is more than just what I'd call a non-visible threat. We on the surface, first of all information dealing with alien or alien reproduced technology or alien reproduced vehicles or any other kinds of things well hidden from the American public. Our black budget, for instance, garners $1.023 trillion every 2 years. It's over $500 billion a year. Right now, there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. Each one is built in the site. It used to it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year with sophisticated methods. My colleague Al Bielik has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train and floats off of a single rail at a 3/4 of an inch off the rail, and is what you'd call high tech. We have nothing like this on the surface.
Yeah, and to that point, that's why it's called like a breakaway civilization, right? They've completely built a completely modernized civilization underground, while we're left with the old stuff that was built in the early 1900s, and they won't even fix that stuff. Bridges collapsing, roads with potholes. It's just so sad.
So next time the government tries to tell you that they need more money to build a high-speed railway that takes you from Southern California to Northern California, and they sit on that for 20 years and don't do jack shit with it, tell them to screw off, because they're lying to you. Also, all right, I'm going to go a little bit off topic here. As listeners know, I was in Spain last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, and man, I know taxes or whatever are higher in Europe, but they actually, it seems like they put it to good use. We spent so much time on the metro and walking around. There was no potholes around. The metro was clean. It ran on time. It was great. And so I kept thinking, why can't we have that same kind of infrastructure taken care of in the United States? It's such a bummer.
It is, yeah, it is. And the thing is, we do have socialism, but we have socialism for the rich.
For the rich, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just for them. I can't believe the other day. Yes, this is off topic, but I can't believe the other day how Trump was saying, "Oh, we can't afford Medicare and Medicaid, and have a military." So he wants it all for the military, and I was like, "Wait a minute, we paid into that." I'm all for the government not spending as much, but the people got their salaries reduced for Social Security and Medicare. You can't just say, sorry, we're not going to fund it. We already funded it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like theft. Blatant theft.
It is 100% theft. And this is why everyone likes to clown. I know libertarians, it's a very complicated thing, but really what it comes down to is tax me less. I want less government. And everyone goes, oh, taxation is theft. But this is what we're talking about. This is what libertarians are talking about when they say taxation is theft.
Right. It's you're trusting these criminals with your money. And look what they've done with it. He's at $20 billion per site. And he's at 130 or something. They're in the United States, active deep military. And that was in the 90s.
Right.
So yeah, it's this whole system is just completely rigged against normal people that fund it. They still make $1 trillion a year from our taxes.
Yeah,
that's not chump change.
No, and I wish there was a way to coordinate this, but there should be some sort of movement. And I know there kind of was, or there kind of is, whatever. There should be a movement where U.S. people just refuse to pay taxes for a year.
I saw MTG. She had an ex. I didn't finish it, but she had an ex IRS guy on her show, and she started the show by saying that there's a huge movement that people don't want to pay taxes. But then she had this ex IRS guy, and he studied while he was in the IRS. He was studying the code and the laws and other laws. But he basically says we don't have to pay taxes. It's unconstitutional, and he goes it's completely what do you call it, voluntary. Now, not paying is not voluntary, but I think what he was saying is the reporting is voluntary, because if there's no reporting, they have no idea. And that's why they want to bring in AI, because then they'll have the AI figure out how much you're making by how much you're spending and that kind of stuff. right?
Exactly.
If you're reporting it the right way. It's just so wrong.
Well, it really is. And it brings back to me the thing we learned in school that I can't remember what the fallacy is called. It's the toll booth thing, where basically government builds a bridge and they say, oh, how are you going to pay for the bridge? Like, oh, we'll set up a toll booth, to collect money for people. Right. And then after 20, 30 years, everyone forgets the toll booth was supposed to be temporary. So now you just have a toll booth that collects money forever for ostensibly no reason. Because the reason for the toll booth was to collect money to pay for the bridge. The bridge is built, it's been paid for, and they still collect tolls. And no one is talking about getting rid of that toll booth because they have no memory. They have no memory the toll booth was there in the first place to pay for the bridge.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Yeah,
taxation is theft.
It is. It's still a theft, and I think we'll probably prove that in this show.
Yeah.
The public basically has been totally lied to.
Yep.
We're considered stupid or even moronic in some cases. It's got to stop. If we're going to gain our country back, we must, and I repeat, must instill in our public officials, anybody that goes and does public service, they must tell us the truth. If they cannot do this, then they must be impeached or they must be removed from office. If this cannot occur, if the truth cannot totally...
Imagine, he was saying that so long ago. I'm like, yes, dude, that's what we're saying.
Well, I know, exactly. But my joke was going to be, if we truly went out and did this as a people, there would be no politicians left.
Yeah, no one wanted to run for office either.
Exactly. Yeah.
You see how everyone's like trying to beg Tucker to run, and he's like, "Hell no, I'm not doing it."
No, he shouldn't. But I haven't seen that, but it doesn't surprise me. I remember there were all these lefty individuals they keep bringing out that they keep saying, "Oh, this guy should run for president." It's like, he's a political commentator who ran a comedy show. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. But it's the best readers, the best leaders are the ones that don't want to be put in that position because they don't have, it's not about their ego or anything like that.
Right. That's why I think president and Congress should be elected by random number generator. And while you are in power, you can't gain any money or anything like that. And if you do a bad job, you can get voted out and the next random person gets put into place. But then everyone would be like, I don't want to do this. And so they do a bad job on purpose.
Oh, yeah, true. I mean, with technology these days, the people can have a direct effect now. We don't need representatives anymore. The reason why we need representatives because everything was so far away.
Yeah.
But now with phones and with blockchain technology, like we could have like a direct democracy. I don't know if that's a good thing though. But
I'm a little concerned because mob rule typically doesn't work out.
Right,
and then my other thing is God, call me an old man. But having that much power in technology, I think is a really bad idea because technology can be hacked and all that other shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Even crypto now, because with quantum coming out, you're right. All those hash, the technology that's behind crypto can be hacked very soon. Actually. All right, let's continue, Phil.
Yeah,
It's like he's talking today.
Come out. There are reasons for secrecy, for instance, but if the truth cannot totally come out, what's the use in us having anything called freedom? Okay, now I have pictures here that I'm going to show you during the break in artifacts, and I ask you to kind of look at them but not handle them. I have actual crashed retrieval metal from Roswell, New Mexico. It's given to me when I was 14 years old. For instance, I've got other things. I've got pieces of titanium, a special titanium alloy made for everything from the original SR-71 Blackberry. That's old hat now. F-117As, they're old hat now. They're making a whole new class of hypersonic above Mach 5 aircraft that employ extremely modern charged particle beam weapons. They don't even use lasers anymore. Computer enhanced imaging radar, although it's used in helicopters for public surveillance, computer enhanced imaging radar, and in satellite technology. The brand new kid on the block is a kind of infrared technology where a satellite 150,000 miles out in a geosynchronous orbit, or not quite geosynchronous orbit, but these spy satellites can literally look in and see a dime on the floor, say on your kitchen floor. They have a resolution factor of 99.999961. This particular piece of metal, I'm going to drop it on the floor here. It'll kind of ring like a bell. You can't break it. Withstand temperatures in excess of 7,500 degrees Fahrenheit. It has niobium in it. It also has mironite in it, element 123. Yeah, please do.
Crazy. He's talking about the resolution of the satellites, which back then was nuts.
Yeah, I mean, remember Trump's first term? I think it was Iran again. He released satellite footage of one of their military bases or something. It was like a pretty clear image taken from space. Yeah. And like he got flack for it because he's not because we're not supposed to be showing off that kind of technology. But I mean, it's scary stuff, man.
Yeah, it was really, really clear. It was Iran like them launching. It was their launch pad or something like that, and it was clearly labeled as well.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the fact is, it was taken from space at like an angle too, if I remember correctly. Like, it wasn't looking straight down from it; it was like from the side. Like it was. I don't know how satellites work. I mean, I do kind of, but
yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it was. Yeah. You could see the sides of the buildings, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was probably taken from another angle instead of just straight up on top. Mm-hmm. Well, they do have many of them going around.
Oh, yeah.
Or they use information from several ones and then bring it all together. Yeah,
like a 3D model. Yeah,
exactly. I'm just forgetting the name now of the one that they showed us in 2017. I don't think is it Lockheed Martin, but they have a video about using infrared satellites. So that's 20 years after what Phil Schneider told us, and they literally said infrared, and they said geosynchronous orbit. So all those, and in 2017 they told us we have it.
I also think it's funny he brought up the SR-71 Blackbird. I still think of that as like the ultimate craft, and he cool. In the 90s was saying, "Oh, that's out of date," and I'm going like, "Oh my god!" And that was 30 years ago or 40 years ago almost.
I mean, the argument people have is like, okay, fine. If we have all that stuff, how can we haven't finished off Iran yet, kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. But then I guess the argument that then you have those interviews with the Age of Disclosure director, and he said he was told that this stuff will never come out, not even in a World War III. It would come out, he said, after a World War III event happens, which is nuts. I mean, we invested in all this. It's like they're trying to milk it as much as they can until the very end, right?
That info. Can you imagine info about that coming out after World War III? Everyone's living in nuclear radiated wastelands.
Right. Yeah,
and some guys like, did you know they had UFOs that were using to bomb people? It's like, look, cool, man. That would have been sweet like 10 years ago to know. Exactly. Like now, what am I gonna do with that? I can't even get on the internet and talk to anyone about that now.
I can't even get clean water anywhere.
Yeah, what? Who cares? Maybe that's why they're waiting until World War III.
Maybe, yeah, until the people that can remember won't be around to remember. They'll probably be treated like gods if they come out of like from the military from these bases.
Oh my god!
When they finally emerge, they'll be treated like gods.
You're so right, dude. You're so right. That's exactly what they want. Oh my god! Yeah, they wait a couple hundred years and come out and act like they're from another planet. Oh god, that's
probably the same thing happened to us with these UFOs we're seeing.
Yeah, could be.
Could be why they're doing it. I mean, I'm just trying to think like how evil do you have to be, or you're thinking it's okay because someone else did it, kind of thing.
I don't know. I've read enough of the Epstein files to realize we're pretty fucking evil.
Yeah, very true. And what's going on now? They don't even try to sell us wars anymore. They're like, oh, we're going, and that's it. Oh, we're doing a draft. Too bad you don't like it.
It's God, and like the newest, we're going really all over the place here. The newest thing is U.S. is going to start blockading the Hormuz Strait, right? It's like, so what was the point? What are we doing? Like, you can't blockade us. We're going to blockade you. It's like, why are we in Iran right now? What have we accomplished so far? Trump be like, we destroyed all this and took out the leadership and yada yada, and All we did was set back our own like interests by what, like 50 years?
Easily. And it's just going to escalate into a nuclear war. That's where it's going, because no one is quitting. When no side quits and each side just says the same thing over and over, then it's going to end up where everyone needs to be decimated. Man.
Let's move on to happier things.
Yes, let's move on. I think this is Area 51 here he's showing us.
Great.
Grim Lake is where the infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base, it was originally a bombing range, a nuclear test site. It was later become the most secret base in the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them work in the cover of darkness, like us. We built 9 underground military bases there, each with an average capacity capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4.25 cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore. They literally vitrify and melt the rock, deflagrate the rock. It's a very sophisticated laser melting and deflagrating system. It reduces the rock to a powder and then melts the remaining rock as a coating on the inside of the base, so you don't have to use gunite cements and other kinds of things like that. That's all old hat now. Technology is just basically the new technology we get is the old hat of the military. I want to be real brief about it. I carried a level 1 security clearance, the Rhyolite 38 Factor. There are very few of us. There's nobody except myself, to my knowledge, talking like this. Nobody. I'm breaking the law. I'm breaking world as well as federal law. I'm coming out and even talking about this to a group of people. I love my country more than I love my life. 2 weeks ago, I was shot in the shoulder. I don't want to gore you women out, but I was shot in the shoulder up here. I recently have become friends of a retired FBI agent who took me under the wing. He says, I've never seen a person braver than you. And I said, well, there's more coming. Our patriot movement in these United States is going to pick up the ball, and we are going to kick the parasites out.
Dude, it's like us talking today.
It is. Well, it's sad, man. Like, I totally get what he's saying. I appreciate his vision. Unfortunately, we get sidetracked and we get sabotaged by the government itself to quash any of these movements. I still think of the Occupy Wall Street movement back in was it like 2011 or something? That was all about wealth disparity and how these rich people, that was after the 2008 collapse, right? And all these rich fucks ended up getting a payday out of it. No consequences, and the people were losing their homes and all this other stuff. And that Occupy Wall Street movement turned into identity and gender stuff because I believe it got sabotaged by the government in that regard.
For sure, they infiltrated it, definitely, because it was a very powerful movement, and it was getting lots of press, and it was basically the banks got bailed out, right, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and then what really pissed off people is that the executives gave themselves all bonuses, like $20 million bonuses for doing that.
I mean, I remember the outrage. They were going on vacation, like going to private islands, hanging out with Epstein, and the rest of us were not us. I mean, I was a kid back then, but still, it's just like,
I mean, 08 affected me because investments were gone, and we were in the middle of like raising capital, and we raised half of it, and then it was just a disaster. It was a nightmare, man. 08 was a nightmare.
And I believe the same thing is happening today. Anytime a true leftist, and you know me, I'm far from a socialist or a communist, but anytime one of those there's a good group of people that comes up with some ideas to make more, spread wealth around. Essentially,
Right.
It gets completely taken over by trans activists or gender identity,
any
people,
minority,
and it's just like, oh my god. Do you have the thing queued up for Canada's new LGBT acronym by any chance?
No, I do not. No, I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, but speaking, if we get there, yeah.
That
was so funny, man. I can't believe it. And the way it rolled off her tongue was so funny.
I'm sure
it was like WWI2DGIV LGBTQQ++, something like that.
I'm gonna create a lawsuit saying I identify as one of the letters that wasn't in the huge thing that she listed, and say, oh, I don't feel represented.
Oh, she'll put you in there somehow.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say put a T in there for Topher, but then I realized there's already a pretty big T in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost all letters were in there. Is it? I think it's women and girls of indigenous. Anyway,
there's that. Yeah. Oh, every they covered all their bases. Are we?
Yeah. So we're basically in the same issue, right? With what Schneider was saying. I think here the alien confrontation. We can go to that one. So,
yeah. Let's do it.
One of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died, but he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today. Wasn't for him.
Yeah, see, I think we could cover this whole part.
So I think that's the Dulce one, right? That's the Dulce War.
Yeah, we could cover that whole thing with the Dulce War. But for those of you who don't know, Dulce is a base in New Mexico. It is supposedly the home. It's where humans and aliens essentially work together. And there's different. If we do end up doing a deep dive on it, we'll go into deeper detail. But there's certain levels that only have humans. There's certain levels that only have aliens. There's certain levels that have a combination of both. There was essentially a civil war that happened. That's what Phil Schneider is referring to here. He was a part of it, of course. They all are.
Yeah, and it's in that Dulce book as well that we'll cover.
It's a really fun story. I don't know if I necessarily believe all of it. I think Phil Schneider's an interesting character, and I believe in a lot of the stuff he says.
I mean, especially when I heard about like the technology he talks about, and it was all back then. It's nuts how accurate he was, because now it's out. All that stuff is out.
Yes, that's the stuff that I do believe in. The Dulce War stuff, I'm not sold on, to be honest. But you never know.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to how are you going to prove that? With this system that we have. But I mean, do you see his his two fingers, how they're completely gone, like singed off? It's not that clear in the video, but
I was gonna say I haven't seen anything like close up or actually analyzed, and I don't know what a finger getting injured from a laser looks like in real life, only from movies, and even that, sure. I can't think of any movies where lasers or fingers have been lasered off. But is there more about the actual base in here? Because if I don't want to keep going,
I think this is. Let me see this part. If it's the base.
Now, I'm going to casually mention to you something that's very scary indeed.
Oh, this is the alien agenda. This video that he talks about.
I think we should save that for if we're going to do a deep dive. I think we should focus on other. If you're okay with it, we should focus on.
If we magically have it, yes.
Other D.U.M.Bs. Instead of, because I don't want to do the whole thing about Dulce, especially if we are going to cover Dulce separately.
I guess this could be the Dulce one then. I don't know. I mean, okay, this is with Paul. This is Paul Benowitz.
Okay,
so it's not really Dulce, although I think that area here is Dulce. It's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And what he found.
Okay.
What was happening was in late 1979, and that home I showed you, his house is right about there. In that moment, there's the country club. That's Albuquerque.
I mean, that seems so close to this base. I mean, I'm not surprised they saw it, or it looks close from the satellite image. But
yeah, kind of hard to tell. But yeah, that's so close.
Yeah,
International Airport, and I think the Air Force uses these runways over here, but that's the terminal. What was going on? What caught Benowitz's attention is right about in this area. He was seeing these lights flying around, doing these weird things that airplanes don't do. Just about almost nightly. In late 1979, this started around October, something like that. He brought his wife out there. They're saying, "I wonder what that is," and he eventually bought some cameras and picked, still cameras, movie cameras, and I think maybe in video, and started videotaping, filming, and taking pictures of these objects. And he didn't know what they were. He was interested in UFOs, but at that point, he figured he was a scientist, and he was trying to figure out what was going on. Anything else I should talk? Oh, right here is this is called Manzano Complex, Manzano Mountain. In 1947, strangely enough.
So that is Dulce too, right? Manzano Mountains. I think that's Dulce as well.
Okay.
This entire mountain was dug into and tunneled out and used to store nuclear weapons components, and some people even said whole bombers and stuff. They'd move in there underground. Actually, people flying into the airport over here could see them digging it. They said it looked like a big anthill. And so, at various points around this mountain, I think this is about maybe 2 miles from here to here, not too long, 2 or 3 miles from end to end. And this is Albuquerque's up here. This is all Albuquerque here. And there's a Highway 40, I think, goes this way and goes off to the east. So it's actually pretty close. But he was right on the perimeter fence here. What's in these? What's around this side of the mountain where you can't see it from anywhere over here, but you can see from around here, the bunker. There's little bunkers that stick out, little concrete bunkers, and they're all entrances to these tunnels where all these things were stored. I don't think they store anything there anymore. It's been decommissioned to the point where there's almost nothing. I don't know what they use it for now. But that area was very. I think it had the highest concentration of nuclear weapons anywhere in the world at the time in the late 70s. So anybody looking in this area and pointing cameras over here is going to get some sort of, at least if the Air Force knows about it, they're going to get some attention.
All right, so that's probably what happened to Benowitz, because he started looking into that. There was also Benowitz did also apparently communicate using. See, this is Dulce as well, so we can skip this one where it goes into the base, because I think here it even goes into the levels.
Yeah,
there it is. There's the war. Yeah, but where's Benowitz? Here it is.
Yep.
So, this, because Benowitz, he was an electrical engineer, right? He was really brilliant. He was a brilliant guy, and I know that the Air Force said that a lot of these things they messed with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But their job is to do disinformation, so I think a lot of the things that he was doing was real, but then they would come in and then put on top of that their disinformation or
wasn't it Doty? I mean, Doty was the point of contact. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Doty.
And now he gets to be part of the UFO world, and I just don't understand how that ever made sense.
I mean, I guess kind of he left X, right? He's completely gone. He's not there anymore. I don't see videos of him anymore either. So maybe he was ostracized.
Good.
Yeah, I think he got a lot of hate anyway.
Well, he what he did to Phil Schneider. I mean, what he did to Benowitz. Yeah, I mean, he deserves it.
Yeah, where is when he's talking to the actual? Oh, here it is. Maybe here. Yeah. Can you read that?
I got in touch with Dr. This is at the end of his remarkable quotation from Stigmata.
Yes.
I got in touch with Dr. Benowitz by telephone and indicated that I had seen this reference to him and his work, and I wanted to find out whether he was being misrepresented, whatever. Thank you, or whatever. It is rather mind-boggling, and here is the substance of that telephone conversation. He is a physicist, and he started 4 years ago to determine in his own mind whether UFOs exist or do not, and he has gotten much more deeply involved than he ever intended. It has caused him a great deal of trouble from the government intelligence groups. That's in all caps. He has pictures from the location. He went with a highway patrol officer, and they saw a UFO take off from the mesa at the location. He obtained photographs and what he calls launch ships that were 330 feet long and 130 feet across.
That's pretty big, man.
That is. It's literally about the size of a football field.
Yeah.
The cattle rancher named Gomez, and he went back to this location, which is a mesa, and saw a surveillance vehicle, which was about 5 feet by 10 feet, like a satellite, he said. Okay. He had been using a Polaroid camera and then got a Hasselblad to produce much better pictures. I'm assuming that's a type of camera.
Yeah, a great camera.
He set up a monitoring station and observed that UFOs are all over the area. He has been dealing heavily with a Major Edwards, security commander, who was with Manzano Security, and his wife and I, of them saw 4 objects outside of a nuclear warhead storage area at a range of about 2,500 feet and obtained movies of them. He now has about 6,000 feet of movie footage, of which 5,000 feet is in Super 8. The objects have the ability to cloak. That's the word. Spells cloak like cloak and dagger like cover up. And he says that they can cause themselves to go invisible by a field that causes the light waves to bend around the object, and that one sees the sky behind them.
Crazy.
That is crazy. But again, I think that's something like I've seen things on YouTube where people are able to recreate that.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, it's just that's how this stuff eventually all comes out.
Mm-hmm.
In reality. I can take this if you want.
Okay.
He confirmed the fact that the woman was picked up when she accidentally observed the calf being abducted. That's right. They had abductions in that area. Mutilations.
Yeah.
He has paid for pathology work and medical doctor work. The pathologist is a former head of the microbiology department of New Mexico University. They have done CAT scans to show that the woman and her son did in fact have implants in their bodies. We confirmed the woman, not her son. She has a vaginal disease like streptococci
bulbi, I don't know.
Bulbi, and tried many antibodies to destroy the bacteria. That it has survived off the antibodies themselves. The aliens keep hassling her. Still true to date. Paul kept the woman and her mother at his house, and the UFOs were flying overhead constantly. There is no ESP involved, but it is just plain physics.
Are they talking about the flight of the craft?
Yes.
Must be. Okay.
They beam down. They send a beam down, not beam down. They can communicate through this beam. Picked up their transmissions. Devised a means of communication based upon her alphabetic code. 1 is equal to no, and 2 being yes. Through this code, he has been able to talk to the aliens. He then computerized a system that would reject extraneous inputs. He said that they can be very threatening and malevolent. He then told the OSI, and that's Doty right there in the Air Force, and he has been requested to give several presentations to high-level Air Force people in briefings on the subject. He shouldn't have trusted them.
Yeah, well, I think he did what he thought was best with the information he had.
Yeah. He was a patriot and probably a good guy. Doesn't think, there's anything malevolent in our government.
Right.
High level Air Force people, the briefings, wing level command, and many others, including this fellow Edwards. And he took a helicopter to the site. Twice to site. First by OSI agents and second by Colonel Carpenter. It turned out that the wing commander, after a presentation that his fellow made, then took a helicopter to the site and made photographs.
Looking back, thinking about this, the widespread distrust of the government and military in general didn't really happen until post 9/11.
Yep.
The U.S. military was always, and the U.S. government for that matter, were always seen as the good guys, despite the crazy shit the CSI was, or the CIA was getting up to, in the 60s and stuff. People didn't really know about that too much.
No, they definitely didn't. And yeah, you're right. There was so much trust even the 40s and 50s and 60s. And I can't believe, I mean, yes, Vietnam, there was like some distrust, but still more than half the country trusted the government and the military. But yeah. So he says that you can see saucers on the ground. He says there's a kind of cone, a large cone, and the larger vehicle comes and lands on top of the cone, with the top of the cone fitting into a hole in the bottom. There's an elevator inside of the cone, and that goes down into the mountain or ground about 1 kilometer. You can see the aliens running around the base, getting into the vehicles and stuff.
I gotta see this footage.
They use small vehicles to get around that have no wheels, obviously. They are rectangular in shape and they levitate. They do not show up in color because they are highly reflective. But in B and W, black and white, they're visible. He says that there are beam weapons that are floating in strategic locations, and there is a road into the base. He obtained infrared photos of the area from an altitude of 14,000 feet. There is a level highway going into the area that is 36 feet wide.
So something, and this is a fun, coincidence. One of those things that always happens when we get ready to research for an episode. I keep seeing videos on YouTube about, they keep popping up in my feed about truck drivers who have made deliveries to these.
Oh yeah, we have
places before.
We have one of those videos. Yeah,
great. Yeah, but they just kept showing up in my feed all of a sudden.
Of course, me too. We started once we announced in Signal, by the way, that we're going to do this show. All of a sudden, I just saw my feed. These things come up. So it shows you maybe Signal's not that
secure.
Not secure either. Yeah. All right. So, do we need to? Yeah, there's some more about is that a government road?
Yeah, I'll take it. One can see telemetry trailers and buildings that are 5-sided buildings with a dome. It is standard military procedure. There are many guard points and stakes, and there are launch drones that one can see. Next to the launch drone, he saw a black limousine and another at some distance off, apparently. The careful measurements showed that the limousine was the same length of this Lincoln Town Car. It is a CIA vehicle. There was also a blue van. He has been cautioned about these limousines as they will run you off the road if you try and get into the area. And in fact, somebody has been killed in that manner. To the north is a launch site. All of a sudden, another video that I saw popped into my head just now. I can't remember who it was. They were giving an interview where they were filming something with Robert Downey Jr., right?
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. invited them to hang out at his house after they wrapped for the day. And they're like, yeah, sure. And he goes, okay, I've got a meeting right after we're done, and then I'll meet you guys there. And he said, they were going from wherever they were shooting to Robert Downey Jr.'s house. They were stuck in traffic. They were slow. It took about 30 to 45 minutes to get to Robert Downey Jr.'s house. And Robert Downey Jr., despite having a meeting after that, beat them there and had showered by the time they had arrived.
Oh, yeah.
And he was going, the only possible way to do that is if there was some sort of underground tunnel that, only the rich and elite have access to get there. And he's like, it was impossible. He goes, we were sitting in traffic. It was a long enough drive without traffic. It took us 30 to 45 minutes to get there. He had a meeting after we left and still beat us there and had time to shower. So it took him 5 minutes to get to his house. I thought that was a fun story.
Yeah. And you just remind me, there are reports that there is that type of thing for like the elites in LA, like Hollywood stars, and that there's even like Starbucks down there and McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So continuing, there are 2 wrecked ships there. They are 36 feet with wings, and one can see oxygen and hydrogen tanks. There are 4 cylindrical objects, Socorro type, 2 carrying something while flying. The whole operation is based upon a government agreement and a technology trade. We get out of it atomic ships that are operated by plutonium. Interesting. The Cash Landrum case was one of them. The doors jammed open and neutron radiation came out. Wow. All right. Yeah, we can move on. But this is a really good book. It's online for free. So
nice.
Yeah, people definitely go through it. There's comments from the guy who put it together. These are his comments.
Did you say the book at the beginning? I totally missed it. This isn't the Dulce book, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is the Dulce book. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah, this is the Dulce book. So it's a good book. Notes are fine, but the information, again, take with a grain of salt. There's some crazy stuff in here, especially when it comes to MK Ultra kind of stuff.
But I think it's good to get a general because all of this stuff, I don't think it's 100% fake. My feeling is there is a lot of good information in here. I think there's a lot of stuff that was added to make it less believable, and that's the whole point, right?
Right.
Yes. Add misinformation, but I do think this is important to go through.
Yeah, and there's a lot of benefits in here, which again, I had no idea he was so involved with Dulce. That was completely something else. Poor guy, man.
Poor guy.
Yeah. And then, so we have Catherine Austin Fitz as well. So now we're coming to the current age, right? And she was former deputy HUD. What's it called? Secretary of HUD? Yeah, deputy secretary of HUD. And she came from the finance sector. She was an investment banker, so she understood finances. And George W. Bush is the one that put her in. And when she got there, of course, she wants to see the numbers. I mean, that story she tells. And they're like, are you sure you want? And she's like, yes, I want to see it. And they came in with these just a huge amount of folders and papers. And they're like, good luck. And she goes, it is nuts, the waste and the fraud. And it's done on purpose where it's so much you can't even pinpoint what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But she said that all these agencies were used to launder money. As she found out, all of them, not just HUD. All these agencies were used to launder money into the black budget, the trillions of dollars, instead of us, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, it's an image that's helping us. HUD has all these agencies have a great purpose, right, to help the people, but
they don't.
Yeah, exactly. They don't. Oh man, here she is on Tucker's show.
So we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems. Some of these are some of these are documented as part of the national security infrastructure. I think there are many more. So
in the United States?
In the United States, on all over the world. But from 2021 to 2023, I took one of the smartest subscribers in the Solari Report network, and he and I spent 2 years collecting all the data and all the allegations on underground bases. And then we systematically went through and tried to estimate our guess. This is totally a guess of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States, but also underground under the ocean around the United States. And our estimate was 170.
So we have a good mutual friend who's been bothering me for years to interview you. You've got to interview her. I'm so glad. Well, just because he said this is like the best informed, smartest, most reasonable, mainstream, sane person I know of you. He said this, and I was like, yeah, okay. I'm sure some people are like, well, she's obviously crazy. I should have set the stage at the beginning with your biography, like you're as mainstream. You're on the board of Sally Mae. You're a partner at Dylan Reed. It's like,
right.
You're not just like on the internet.
I think basically, Ryan, that the neocons have destroyed America.
Interesting.
And they led the globalization of the unipolar model. And I think basically they have absolutely destroyed it. With the exception that, maybe there's some kind of magical space weapons that can pull the rabbit out of the hat. We're up against people who use significant amounts of force, and they use invisible weaponry, and they do a lot from space. And so, if you look at why a prime minister would do something that is in the interest of the central banks and against his own people, it's more often than not, I believe, because he's in a variety of different squeezes, and one of them relates to this kind of weaponry. I had an incident where someone just disappeared right almost in front of me, and I couldn't explain it. I called somebody who used to work in the intelligence agencies, and I said, do you guys have invisible man technology? And he said, yes.
What?
I was driving across the Dakotas at 3 a.m. I think it was about 2005. And literally, Richard, it was the strangest thing. There were hundreds of huge UFOs just hanging up in the sky. I don't know.
That invisible thing is pretty crazy. I never heard that one before.
Doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised they've let her live. Yeah,
well,
talking about this stuff.
She spent $6 million because they did go after her. The federal government did, and she was in court with them. And she spent $6 million, almost went bankrupt. She eventually won, and I think got immunity or something. Pretty brilliant how she did it. So this is a very smart woman.
Good, yeah,
yeah. I don't even think she lives here anymore. I think she's in. Holland, the Netherlands.
Also, very smart of her. Get the hell out.
Oh, yeah, I know. Maybe I'm next. Switzerland, here we come. No, I'm kidding. I'm here. I'm gonna help fix this place. So this is her going through the missing money. It's only about 7 minutes. We're not listening to all of it, but it's just crazy how she documents all this money, how it was taken from us, and then how it was covered up. Basically, she calls it the financial coup d'etat. And 2008 is right here. Look at that. Great financial crisis bailouts at $29 trillion. That was taken out. And then this is what, 2015, 6.5 trillion in undocumented adjustments. Oh yeah, this one's 9/11 blows up the document trails on $3.3 trillion Patriot Act passes.
Yep.
And they covered all this here. So always when something big happens like COVID or 9/11, that's used to cover up what they've been stealing.
Yeah, never let a crisis go to waste.
Exactly. She even has Epstein in here. Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I mean, I think we've pretty much proven it at this point. He was connected at the highest level to all of these things.
Yes, he was. Exactly. I mean, he even stopped fusion energy. He was proud of it.
Yeah.
He wrote one of the congressmen that was me that killed it. Yeah, thanks, Epstein.
And I thought the rape was bad.
It was just a little part of it.
Yeah.
And let me give you the history. In 1994, the New York Fed and the Federal Reserve bought shares in the Bank of International Settlements. The Bank of International Settlements is the central bank of central banks in Switzerland, and operates above the law. They have sovereign immunity and enjoy it in many respects. And they can receive and hold money secretly. They can keep money on their balance sheet secretly. So the Fed bought shares and made their relationship with the BIS much closer in 1994. In 1995, a budget deal basically crashed and burned in October. And it was then that one of the largest pension funds, or the president of the largest pension fund in the country, said to me, whoever they is, have given up on the country and moving all the money out starting in the fall. And it was that fall, October 1997, when money started to go missing from HUD as well as the Department of Defense. As of today, there's $20 trillion between 1998 and 2015 missing from DOD, and $1 trillion missing from HUD. The other thing that started to happen when that money started to go missing, Polly, was what I call the Great Poisoning. So literally, it was the next month after the budget deal crashed that OxyContin was approved, and the HUD predatory lending started, and the pill mills started, and really the targeting of the low-income neighborhoods started, including the roundups coming from the private prison movement. And so undocumentable adjustments then skyrocket. Coming into 9/11, we had been working with a reporter in Washington who was writing story after story about the missing money, and we had a huge spread coming out in Insight magazine, the cover story going to all the congressional and Senate offices talking about what was then $3.3 trillion missing and demanding accountability, including who were the private corporations and banks running all those payment systems. And we expected that story. It was going to be run on September 15th, 2001. That Monday, so the day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld gave a press conference at the Department of Defense. You can see the video up at the Missing Money website at Solari. And he announced that the Department of Defense was missing $2.3 trillion. And we assumed he was trying to get ahead of our story. Well, we know that wasn't true. The next day, 9/11 happened. James Corbett has a wonderful video called 9/11 Trillions, where he describes how many of the offices that were blown up at the Pentagon and the World Trade Center related to securities and other financial operations very much connected to the money that was disappearing. In fact, we were told that the office at the Pentagon that was blown up, or one of the offices, was the location for the Office of Naval Intelligence Research Group that was investigating the missing money. And so the rest is history. The Patriot Act had passed, and then the DOD got huge appropriations, and nobody really cared about the missing money. So let me go back to the chronology again. So fast.
It's just so nuts. It's crazy how you said they gave up on the country in 1995. Like, that's like when Phil Schneider and all that was coming out.
Man, 1995 was a pretty good. I mean, I was, again, a kid, but from what I understand, 1995 wasn't so bad.
It wasn't, but I think because the secrets were coming out, maybe they saw that the country's just going to revolt against them, and they're like, all right, let's get ahead of it and start poisoning them and stealing more money and
very well doing the case,
doing what we can to get protected, because they are a small amount of people, and we're hundreds of millions. Mm-hmm. So put yourself in their shoes. They probably see it as a war, and they're trying to get ahead of it.
Right. And one thing I do want to point out about 9/11 really quick that I was thinking about during this: if 9/11 happened the way that the official story says it went, guys from Saudi Arabia hijacked a couple planes, crashed into buildings, yada yada yada, all this stuff about the finances, complete coincidence. How can people be upset when they hear all this other stuff and go, why would anyone think that that's not exactly what happened? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much evidence that shows that there was a larger conspiracy at play. It's ridiculous to question people who want to know the truth, in my opinion.
And it's still secret. None of it is out yet. Like, all those people are like, say, oh, I'm like, all right, fine, release it all then. What are you so scared of? What are you so scared of?
They can't even release all the JFK stuff, and that was older than that even.
Right. It's because it's the same group of elites doing it, and they own the government. I mean, it's very simple, and they want to protect themselves.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke about, well, at least we know who owns the banks, but I'll just leave it alone.
Yes. So go to Solari, missingmoney.solari.com. It's a great resource for that. But there's some also videos that have been going around about of these trucks that's just going straight into the mountains, showing underground cities. This is a classic one. I think it's a big rig. North entrance. I mean, it could be a base where they're going into. Whoa.
Sure.
Right. Not very secure. So it's not one of these. It's not one of these military bases. That's for sure.
Or it is, and it's supposed to not look like a military base.
Yeah. Railroad crossing. Wait, when is he going? Oh, this guy comes out to talk to him. All right, now he's coming in.
Oh, good Lord, it's massive.
Yeah. Is it raining in there?
I just assumed he went into... It looks like the ground's all wet, huh?
Yeah. Maybe
it's dripping through the ceiling or something.
Train tracks in there.
Train tracks, he said.
Yeah.
6 miles long.
It goes 6 miles in, he said. Look at that.
Oh, man. How do we get entrance to one of these?
I know, right?
It seems like such a cool place to explore.
Do they have it in Fallout? That'll be a good Fallout series.
Yeah.
Abram didn't believe me about this cave deal.
Holy shit, man!
I'm gonna become a trucker. I'm gonna change career paths and be a trucker so I can hopefully get in one of these bases like this. This is, I don't know. I just think this kind of stuff is cool.
It is very cool.
I keep seeing pictures of the salt mine in, God, it's not Poland. It's in an Eastern European country, and it's just absolutely massive. But I don't think it's a mine anymore, or part of it is maybe, but you can, there's obvious, you can walk in, because all the pictures are all of these people just walking around, and it's massive.
So it's an abandoned salt mine?
I don't think it's abandoned. I'm going to see if I can find it while this video is playing. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I mean, just stop signs, and you can go left and right. What are these sections? Buildings. Yeah, so there's 25 buildings going to the right. Look at all these cars. Like, it is a total city.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's delivering. Food, probably.
Oh, is it Romania? Yeah. All right, I'm going to send this to you.
Look at all these trucks delivering. And, you know, this is all our money, obviously. I always thought, like, why do we have so many products in the store? And who the hell is buying them?
Exactly.
It's for these guys. There's another guy. He's an army whistleblower.
You know, you can do. You know, you can go from the East Coast to the West Coast underground. Underground, completely underground. Without having to come up. And there's turnoffs. You need security clearances to get through these turnoffs. They go into other bases. They go into other areas and, you know, secret places you can't go. And what do they do there? They do a lot of things. I can tell you one thing. They have 2 sets of elevators. And my security clearance got me down to the main hub, which is as big as Manhattan. I mean, it's as big as Manhattan. It's unbelievable. They have acres of farmland with lights and farmland underground. They run the lights off nuclear. Underground. Yeah, they have nuclear power plant underground, and they use that for everything. All the power under there. They grow food. Yeah, they grow food. They have livestock. I mean, everything. Yeah, they have everything. They have bench shafts. They have everything. But the 2 sets of elevators I was telling you about, my clearance, I can only go down to the main hub. Then there was another set of elevators that brought you down further. And a bunch of friends of mine would tell me stories about that. Can you tell us anything about those stories? Yeah, I can tell you what they told me. What they told me is there's actual aliens, grays. Wait. Aliens. What was the word, grays? Grays. And also there's another kind. There's different species that they talk about. There's grays, there's reptilians, all the different kinds. A gray is a type of alien. Right. It's not really an alien. It's a drone. It's not really it's like an organic drone. That's exactly what it is. What does that mean, an organic drone? It's not a living thing. It's in living tissue, but it's a drone. They're not real.
Wow. I couldn't find the full video of that on Rumble.
Wow.
It was just the same one as that.
Such a crazy thought. But again, it's one of those things where you have to ask, like, if it's as big as what he's suggesting, goes across the United States, underground cities as big as Manhattan, like that means there's a lot of staff involved, right? And how the hell are they keeping this so secret if that's really the case?
I mean, God, they keep everything secret. I don't know how they do this intimidation.
I'm talking about, you can't keep millions of people secret, and it would have to take millions of people to think about this, build it, staff it, maintain it. It would take so many people, and you can't blackmail a million people. I guess you can. Look what our media does.
People they get too comfortable, and that's why a lot of these people are saying that a lot of these migrants coming in, that's what they're using them for too, because then they just love their lives and they don't want to ruin it. You know, they get free healthcare, their kids get excellent education, and maybe that's why they're sick of us Americans who just want freedom and transparency.
Yeah,
like, no, we want slaves.
I sent you a Google link to the salt mine I was talking about. If you could pull up some of those pictures and see how big that place is. I mean, it is massive. We can play this video and you can look at that on the side if you want.
Begun.
Yes.
All the vehicles are moving in. We got the families moving into place. This is the mine where we're going to be held up for months. We're preparing, man. I told you, we had to get ready for what was coming. So we've got our families and stuff. Food storage is good up. We're packed up pretty tight in here, but it's going to be good to go, man.
So it's not underground city, but this is an abandoned mine, and people are doing this. These are preppers doing this for what's coming, basically what's going on.
Oh wow, yeah. I was wondering what the context was.
Yeah, in Iran and stuff. So lucky them, but they got their neighbors, they got food. I don't know if those fumes are good. It better be
probably not ventilated. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could be a mole person. I think that'd be pretty depressing. Yeah, look how massive that place is.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah.
So this is in Romania. The name of the salt mine is let's see if I just had it. Brazov? No. Selina Turda. Oh, that's an unfortunate name.
It's a big turd.
That's an unfortunate name.
Whoa.
But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it's still active or not. But you can get tours there. I did that. I found that out pretty quickly. But it's just, I mean, just massive, absolutely massive.
Yeah, dude, look at that. Very cool.
So next time I'm in Romania, I'll have to go check that out. Actually, you know what? Once I move, I will be close enough where I could probably go there pretty cheaply.
Oh yeah, that's right. Probably just a train right away.
Yeah.
Where were we? Oh yes. What's this one? Oh yeah, you sent this one. This is the one in Turkey.
Yeah.
So it's nothing. This is nothing new. The humanity has been doing this for a very long time.
Yes.
And many people say these cities, and even Catherine Austin Fisk says this, is that they know that there's an event happening that's coming, and that the best way to protect yourself from these cyclical events from the sun, right, is to go underground.
Yes. This was a really fun case. This guy in Turkey, he was remodeling his basement, knocked down a wall, and discovered an underground, of course, empty city that could have housed 20,000 people.
Wow.
Here's a nice graph right there that kind of shows a basic layout. I remember when this story came out. I remember watching the videos of this, them walking around the tunnels and stuff. It was really cool. Oh, this happened in 1963. I just heard about this a couple years ago, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in 1963. So a subterranean city up to 18 stories and 280 feet deep in places and probably thousands of years old. Yeah, that makes sense.
Crazy stuff, man. Very cool. Turkey is in a part of the world where there's a lot of history that's gone hidden.
Yeah.
Or it's gone forgotten about.
Yes, I watched an interview with Danny Jones. Really good one. I forget what the researcher is. He's amazing. He's so passionate about this stuff. But he says like there was a civilization. He's saying like 40,000 years ago, and that it was around for 20,000 years. He goes, imagine a civilization that's around for 20,000 years. And he said they had no language, or at least they don't have no written language. It was all symbols, and that's how they just knew how the universe worked. And he said that they have cataclysms in their systems. They knew it, and that's why they made like the Sphinx is one of them. He said it used to be a lion's head and not a pharaoh's head. That the pharaohs changed it.
Yeah, I've heard that
stuff
too.
Stuff like that. But look at these caverns, huh?
It's crazy stuff. My question is this: this was found, 1965, or whatever date said.
1963, yeah.
Did the people who were housing it, did they find this? The people
so who was that guy? Was he living there?
It was just it was just a random. He was just doing renovation in his basement, but they're saying, oh, this was, I don't know. Did they say when this was? The people were supposed to live there?
No, I don't think.
Like, I'm wondering how many times that underground city has been used. Like,
right.
is this
throughout
thing,
the ages?
Yeah, 50,000 years old, and it just keeps getting discovered over and over again.
So the historical record has little definitive to say about Derinkuyu's origins. Some archaeologists speculate that the oldest part of the complex could have been dug about 2000 BC by the Hittites, the people who dominated the region at that time, or else the Phrygians around 700. Phrygians?
I think so. Phrygians? I don't know.
700 BC. Other claims that local Christians built the city in the first centuries AD.
I bet it's one of those things. I bet I'm kind of right. I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I have the feeling that it just kept getting. It would be built upon and then lost. The next civilization moved in, find it, built upon again, and then now here we are. And I hope this guy got to claim the entire thing as his basement.
Wouldn't that be sick? Another theory says the underground city serves as a temperate refuge for the region's extreme seasons. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Cappadocian winters can get very cold and summer's extremely hot. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I could live underground. I don't know if I'll have a choice here in the near future, but
right. Exactly. We might not have, and there's also been many theories out there why we don't see any life on the surface of planets, because they know it's dangerous, so they all go underground.
Mm-hmm. Become the mole people.
And then there's this one in Vegas, which is pretty sad. But
this one is sad. Yeah. I remember I watched a documentary on this. I think I was in college, so about 10 years ago, longer. I remember these guys I think they were from Norway. that was the first I'd heard of it. They did a whole documentary filmed under there and met all the people and all this other stuff. And it is really sad. But this underground city in Vegas is just homeless people.
Hopefully we don't get dinged. Let's just do 30 seconds of this.
For the so-called mole people.
Anybody that hasn't come out and seen the light of day in a long time, I don't know if I want to meet them. It might not be civil. These tunnels are 7 floors down.
Do we have any flashlights?
Whoa.
People turn gray down here. There are people out there that haven't seen the light of day and never will.
The city dazzles with luxury hotels, casinos, and endless entertainment. Millions of people visit Las Vegas every year, but many don't know what exists just below. Extremely hard, so rainwater can't soak into the soil the way it normally would. To prevent flooding on the streets, these tunnels were built to direct water under the city.
Oh.
So when it rains, the water rushes straight into the tunnels where people are living. Even on a sunny day in the city, a rainstorm 15 miles away in the mountains can send a flood rushing down these tunnels in minutes. Every time this sudden disaster hits, people in this massive underground city lose their lives to drowning.
A lot of trash here.
We ran into Nate for.
Oh, okay. So they live in these tunnels that are already built for
Yes.
rain. Okay.
Yes.
Damn. What a life, dude.
Apparently it's a thriving community though. I don't know if you want to call homelessness thriving,
Right.
but they're all very respectful of each other. They've all got their designated areas.
Huh.
And as the flooding thing, I remember reading a lot of them, like they'll put all of their stuff, they'll like hang it up along, they'll find ways to hang it up along the walls so it doesn't get swept away when the waters come.
Dude, there's so many different ways how people live in this world, huh?
Yeah. Well, they're ahead of the curve. Once the nuclear war starts, people are looking for shelter. They're gonna have to compete with these homeless people that have been doing it for years at this point.
Yeah, no shit, man. They'll be all used to it. We can go.
There's
to them.
there's also great other documentaries about people who live in abandoned subway tunnels under like New York City, for instance. I find all that stuff incredibly fascinating, that these underground cities exist and no one really truly knows about them.
Right. And then
But also you do have to be
under our feet.
You do kind of have to be crazy to like do that to like live
Totally,
under there,
man.
you know?
Totally. I think there's no families here. These are all single people.
I think it's your house. It's exactly the same thing out here.
Is that Tony? Yeah.
When I heard a voice echo through the tunnel, it hit different. This dark, damp tunnel that gives me goosebumps is actually where some people feel the safest and live. Here he is. At first glance, it looks like clutter, but to Tony, every single item is essential to his survival.
I've been in these tunnels for 6 years, and there has been times where we've had good people here, and it was a sense of community. But now we've got some people in here that don't give a shit about nothing but themselves. They're bullies. Some asshole over there started a fire because he's just a mean dude.
The fire didn't hurt Tony, but nearly took the life of his only companion, his cat.
Right here was burnt from the tip of her nose to the tip of her tail.
Man is nuts, man. He's sitting there smoking a cigarette. Like, how do they even take showers? I mean,
well, I don't think they do.
Red Hot Chili. He's tinfoil.
Yeah, that's always a good sign.
Getting ready to smoke something.
There was a news article that came out a few years ago. There was a former porn star living down there.
Yeah, you're kidding me.
No, so it's not just like these dirt trash people. I mean, the lifestyle of a porn star is not exactly glamorous, but it was someone, she was someone who at the height of her career apparently was very popular.
And now she's living down there. At least it's better than being dead, because most of them die.
Yes.
They're very low what do you call it, lifespan.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And this one, I remember seeing this. So they found basically a giant ant structure right underneath the ground.
Yeah, they found an ant colony. I believe this is in Africa. I don't remember exactly which country. And they just started pouring cement in there. And it says at the beginning of the video, but we don't have to watch it. It took like a long time, like days, to pour all this concrete. And then they waited, I think it was a month or two, and started digging it up. And they just uncovered this beautiful underground alien structure. Oh, also for PETA, I know you're listening, they did remove all the ants beforehand. I don't remember how they did it, but they said they did, and I have to take them at their word.
Yeah, they said absolutely. I think they said it was an abandoned ant colony.
Could have been.
Yeah, they moved on somewhere else. Look at that.
It was just, it's absolutely massive. When you see the final thing, it's this huge structure, and it's got, highways and roads, and obviously like places where they look at this.
Wow.
And these are ants.
And they built all this themselves.
Yeah.
Wow. So I mean,
so cool.
It's just, they don't need money to motivate them to build it,
Yeah. Well, they, their colony survival is based on survival, right? So
right. Yeah, that's why they've been around for 1 billion years. That's how old they are as a species.
Mm-hmm.
They're ancient. So when he sent me this, it reminded me of the Hopis.
Yeah.
The ant people of the Hopi. And so this is very similar too. The ant people live underground, right? They have cities, and they're there because they know there are cataclysms that happen on the surface. And that's the Hopi Indians have lived on the high desert of northern Arizona for thousands of years. This barren, beautiful landscape was a place where Hopi gods directed them to build a number of villages made up of pueblos, what we today would call stone apartment complexes. Here, the Hopi managed to flourish by simply growing corn, beans, and squash with very little rainfall and almost no irrigation. One of the most intriguing Hopi legends involves the ant people, who were crucial to the survival of the Hopi, not just once, but twice. The so-called First World, or World Age, was apparently destroyed by fire, possibly some sort of volcanism, asteroid strike, or coronal mass ejection from the sun. Exactly.
Woohoo!
The Second World was destroyed by ice age glaciers, or a pole shift. During these two global cataclysms, the virtuous members of the Hopi tribe were guided by an odd-shaped cloud during the day and a moving star at night that led them to the sky god named Sutuknang, who finally took them to the ant people. In Hopi, Anu Senam, the ant people then escorted the Hopi into subterranean caves where they found refuge and sustenance.
So I would be, we are the UFO podcast, UAP podcast. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that they were guided by a strange shaped cloud in the sky during the day and a light at night.
Exactly.
What in the world does that sound like?
Yep. And ant people, have you seen how the face of an ant? It looks like it's gray.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So it's basically grays is what they're saying that look like ants.
In this legend, the ant people are portrayed as generous and industrious, giving the Hopi food when supplies ran short and teaching them the merits of food storage. In fact, another legend says that the reason why the ants have such thin waist today is because they once deprived themselves of provisions in order to feed the Hopi.
That's hilarious.
More alien lore.
And look, they even talk about the constellation Orion.
Mm-hmm. The constellation Orion also has a thin waist. When Orion dominates the winter skies, the ants are deep in their small underground hills. These structures are similar in form to the Hopi kivas, which are subterranean communal prayer chambers. Coincidentally, the Sanskrit word ki means anthill, and va means dwelling.
That is weird.
Kiva. Each February, inside their kivas, the Hopi perform the bean sprouting ceremony or bean dance called Pawamu. During this time, the fires are continuously kept ablaze, turning these structures into superb hothouses. The ritual commemorates a time when the Anu Senam taught the Hopi how to sprout beans inside caverns in order to survive.
No shit, man. They taught them a lot, I guess, huh?
Very cool. Yeah, they did.
Is there something called the Hopi prophecy now? I'm trying to remember. It's something about the end of the world. Anyway, I don't remember.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It does a little bit remind me of the legend of Atlantis, where the people who left Atlantis ended up becoming gods in the different regions because they would come in with gifts and they would train people.
Oh yeah,
okay, this is how you cultivate plants.
Right.
This is how you raise crops in winter or whatever.
Yep. So yeah, it could be they could have been the survivors of a cataclysm and just given this knowledge to the Hopi Indians to survive instead of starting from scratch. I thought this was interesting. It's definitely not accurate, but it's in the mainstream and it's the Washington Post, and they have this thing about the black budget, and they go through where it all goes, who are the agencies, the top 5 agencies: CIA, NSA, NRO, National Geospace Program.
That's an interesting one. Not really, I guess, because it's just about putting satellites up in the air, right? So we can
pretty much
spy on
both
people.
Both of these are right.
Yeah,
NRO and so it's in space. And I think this is old anyway. It's probably way more than that. It doesn't have
Yeah.
But
It is interesting, though.
So, we've been at this for a long time. The government has the money for it. They have ways to get money for it. There are many reasons for it, not just aliens and UFOs, but that is one of the reasons. And they can do stuff down there. Oh, wait a minute. We missed something. There was an important one from, where was it? Oh, sorry. It comes after that. Okay, sorry. So we're not done with that yet. Here's the Iran one. If people have not seen it yet, it's really impressive. I mean, if they can do it, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? I mean, we have like infinite money. These guys have been under sanctions for 20 years. Just pretty impressive, actually. When I saw this, I was like, "Wow, man,
it is."
Look at these guys.
Of course.
Oh, they're stepping on the Israeli flag. I just saw that now. I had no idea.
I'm surprised that's even there.
Yeah, because they want to step on it.
Oh, okay.
Disrespect it.
I'm surprised they don't do worse, or they probably do. It's just not in this video,
right? Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, massive complex underground.
Look at that. And these are just all missiles. And supposedly they have hundreds of thousands of them. That's why I'm saying it's going to end up in a nuke because these guys are not going to stop. We're not going to stop. But even I've read that even a nuke won't do anything to this. I mean, it will, of course, vaporize the people, unfortunately.
Right, and that's always going to be the main casualty of war are the innocent people.
Yeah, and this was a cool video. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but this guy goes through like how it was. What?
Oh, good. I actually am really interested in this because that whole time in that last video, I was like, how in the hell does someone even build something like this?
All right, let's do it here. So I had a 1.5 speed, so it'll be like 4 minutes.
Okay.
At the heart of the Yaz Desert, amid hard granite mountains, one of the most strategic fortresses has been built. This missile city, located at a depth of 500 meters underground, has turned Iran into an impregnable stronghold. The 1990s. After the war ended, Iran's defense doctrine shifted toward asymmetric warfare. Strategists began considering the protection of missile reserves against air attacks. The granite mountains of Yazd, due to their high density, were selected as the best option. Geological reconnaissance operations began in the early 1990s with military precision. Start of excavation, 1998, 8 o'clock. The first TBM, tunnel boring machine, drilling devices were transferred to the classified area. Engineers from Qatam al-Anbiya headquarters took responsibility for this massive project. Work began by creating camouflaged openings within the rocks. Controlled explosions deep underground marked the first step in splitting the granite. Reverse engineering and localization, 2001. Iran transferred deep tunneling technology from dam construction projects into military use. The first layer of tunnels was designed at a depth of 100 meters for administrative sections. Massive ventilation systems were installed to circulate air in the depths. The black granite of Yazd was the toughest obstacle facing drilling equipment. Phase 2, penetration to 300 meters, 2005. The need for protection against bunker buster bombs increased the project's depth. Spiral pathways were designed to neutralize potential blast waves. Walls were reinforced with thick layers of concrete and metal fibers. This phase turned the missile city into an impenetrable fortress. Arrival of the first shipment, 2009, midnight. The first medium-range Shahab-3 missiles entered underground storage. Internal rail systems were installed for rapid missile transport. Silo launch technology was successfully tested deep underground. Yazd became a strategic storage site for both liquid and solid fuel. Development of Command Section, 2011. The C4I Control and Command Center was established at the deepest point of the mountain. Secure fiber optic communications connected all levels. Survival systems were designed for long-term personnel endurance. Water and food reserves for 6 months were planned. Official unveiling and global shock, 2015. National media broadcast images of missile cities for the first time. The world was astonished by tunnels large enough for missile-carrying trucks. Ahmad and Sejil missiles were displayed on mobile launchers. Although the exact location in Yazd was not disclosed, 500-meter depth became a trend. Smart launcher systems, 2018. Missile barrage technology was deployed in Yazd tunnels, a system capable of launching missiles sequentially. Robotic arms were used for rapid missile reloading. This advancement reduced response time to just minutes. Modernization in 2021. Entry of drones. In addition to missiles, underground hangars for attack drones were built. Yaz tunnels were equipped with catapult launch systems for Ababel drones. The combination of missile and drone power was achieved in one location. This made Yaz a highly advanced multi-purpose base. Countering Electronic Warfare 2022. All walls were covered with a Faraday cage shield. This layer prevents harmful radio waves and electromagnetic pulses from entering. Even in the event of a nuclear explosion at the surface, internal systems remain safe. Cybersecurity reached the highest military standards. 2024. Entry of hypersonic missiles. The Fatah missile was added to the underground arsenal. Advanced storage systems for stable solid fuel were installed. Launch platforms were optimized for speeds exceeding Mach 13. This made the Missile City one of the most advanced in the world. Multi-layer structure, security layering. Level 1, decoy exits and radar deception systems. Level 2, fuel storage and final missile assembly workshops. Level 3, personnel dormitories and fully automated industrial kitchens. Level 4, main arsenal and vertical launch silos. Point defense system, 2025. The Yazd Mountains were equipped with Bavar 373 and Desful systems. Air defense layers secure tunnel entrances. Seismic sensors detect any ground infiltration attempts. Access is only possible through multi-stage biometric gates. Status in 2026, completion of the Granite Shield project. In 2026, this missile city is connected to a central AI system. Launch decisions have become automated in case of communication loss. Tunnels extend dozens of kilometers beneath mountain ranges. This is the largest man-made military structure within igneous rock. Energy management and survival in 2026. Small nuclear plants or surface solar systems provide power. Massive diesel generators are ready for emergencies. Water purification systems draw from deep underground aquifers. The Missile City is now a fully independent ecosystem. Underground research and development, R&D. Propulsion laboratories continue research deep underground. Missile scientists work in fully isolated environments on new fuels. Information leakage is impossible due to intelligent surveillance. This is the beating heart of Iran's military science in the new century. Visual and thermal camouflage of exits. Missile exits are covered with movable artificial boulders. Cooling systems eliminate thermal signatures. Spy satellites cannot detect entrances or exits. Thermal invisibility technology reached maturity in 2025. Missile distribution network, Metro of Death. High-speed electric trains transport missiles between silos. If one silo is identified, missiles are immediately relocated. This underground rail network doubles operational flexibility. The speed of transporting a 7-ton missile is remarkable. Personnel psychology at 500 meters depth. Smart lighting systems simulate day and night cycles.
What?
Walls are covered with calming natural imagery. Military psychiatric teams continuously monitor personnel health. Working at such depth requires strong psychological resilience. 2026. Connection to nationwide missile network. Yazd tunnels are connected to missile cities in Kerman. An integrated defense network has formed beneath central Iran's desert. This synergy enables national-level strategic maneuverability. Iran now possesses an underground missile continent.
Crazy. Fucking nuts. Wow.
Where did they get that information? Where did that come from? Do you know? Does it say?
No clue.
Because that's some pretty detailed information.
It is. It's probably just rumors out there. Although he put the dates. How this was made. Oh, yeah. So who knows? Maybe take that. I mean, definitely something. We know that we can't penetrate it. That's for sure.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. We can't. They can still shoot stuff at anyone at any time with accuracy and quickly as well.
And if even half of that is true, you know, the U.S. has something not just similar but beyond, and more.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, because that looked like the U.S. military's wet dream right there.
Right, and something we probably built in the 40s, I'd say, or 50s. Yeah. You know, yeah. But 500 meters deep. That is deep,
especially through granite. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, and you know, that's the thing about these bases is they don't just. It's not like they've been sitting around since the 40s and 50s or whatever. They get updated and updated and updated.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I'm sure we have probably 0-point energy down there. It doesn't even need, you know, or some nuclear energy that's really advanced. So they could probably live down there for who knows a millennia. That one guy said they have farms down there.
Yeah,
no,
that's just crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you can do that with trillions of dollars. Okay, well, fine. Where else did it go other than spaceships or what? Like, what is it? Who's collecting all that money?
they got CIA, low-level CIA agents working at the Starbucks that's down there.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, so I mean, I think there's lots of proof for deep underground military bases, and it just makes a lot of sense. We have the money for it. We have the technology for it. We have the means to do it.
Yeah. I find this subject absolutely fascinating. I would love to go find underground bases because I refuse to join the military or the U.S. government to be a part of this.
Yeah.
There was that guy who, do you remember the story? He was hiking kind of around Area 51, that area.
Yeah.
And he found the M cave, the famous M cave, and it made him sick. And then he disappeared shortly after that. And then people went out to find him. And that one guy also found a similar cave that looked like it had been filled in with rocks. And he started getting sick right around it as well. So that kind of...
Was it like a cancerous thing, you think?
I don't think it was a cancerous thing. I think I don't know. I'm not really a scientist, but I imagine it's some sort of like sonic thing that screws with your inner eardrum or like your what's it called, and it makes you dizzy and so you vomit.
Your inner ear.
It's some sort of deterrence. But yeah, I have to imagine the US has bases all over the US that are underground and unknown about.
Yeah, I mean, Iran is doing it for defense, right? We're doing it to work with aliens and genetic. I wanted to find because it was a quick video of, but anyway, it's fine. I think we have enough information. But there was one about Native Americans living near Dulce, and they said they found like, oh yeah, here it is. Do you want? It's just 2 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just FYI though, it's not on the screen right now.
Oh. Thank you for that.
Garia Apache tribe. They swear.
I tell stories, but my nose isn't growing.
They are not making this up.
They threw down a ladder from that spaceship, and then 2 small people started climbing down.
Jerry Julian says she had her first extraterrestrial encounter right here on her Dulce ranch about 40 years ago.
It was huge. I just saw the bottom of it. It was like flat like this.
Many of her neighbors claim similar strange sightings.
Fat in the middle and kind of like rounded on the sides. You're speechless, You just don't know what to think, It's just like, it's like nothing you've ever encountered before.
Why are stories of the extraordinary ordinary here?
I do not know. Probably in kind of that big mountain we have right there,
Rumor has it there is a secret base hidden underneath the Archuleta Mesa here. The mountain overlooks Dulce. Some people in town say the base is run by aliens working with our federal government to conduct mind control and genetic experiments. Do you believe that?
Yeah. Well, a whole bunch of people seen it,
Like the ground opened up, steam coming out of it.
They also claim they've seen some creatures cooked up in those experiments, like Bigfoot and something half human.
Down this way, the waist down, it's a goat. It has a tail. But up here, it's a man.
People tell me Dulce wasn't always a center for supernatural activity, but then sometime in the 70s, things changed. That's when cows started turning up mutilated.
They just cut out in between the legs right here. We've seen one.
I know it's not a predator. It's doing it. Someone's doing it.
Local police never definitively said who's to blame. Locals say it has to be something out of this world. And since then,
I was taking a random picture, zoomed it in, and there was a UFO right there.
They say they know it sounds crazy.
They're just going to ask me, well, how much did you drink or what did you drink?
I'll submit to a lie detector test or anything,
But say it's the truth. Question is, do you believe?
Do you believe?
Of course. You got to sensationalize it.
Right.
That is a part of the Dulce Wars story, is that the main character discovers a bunch of hybrids that are basically just beings that are like, kill me, I don't want to live.
Holy shit, dude! That is...
So it all ties into everything we've talked about today, and I really do hope we do a deep dive on Dulce Base. We could have spent this whole episode on Dulce, and I was trying to move us along so we can cover other stuff too.
All right, we have about 12 minutes left. We can quickly go through some updates here. Now they're not making fun of this anymore. The mainstream media keeps covering what's happening with these missing scientists. Apparently, there's 9 missing scientists now that are part of or close to the UAP,
associated with
UAP UFO, and that's nuts. Especially when we started a month ago or almost a month. Oh yeah, it's been a month now at least. When we covered McCaslin and then the other ones, and we linked the other ones. But since then, they found more. So this is Fox News, and he's not laughing about it, which is really cool.
That is cool.
A 9th scientist with ties to NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab has been added to the growing list of researchers across the country who have died under mysterious circumstances or disappeared. Fox News senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has the details. Hey, Kevin.
Afternoon to you, Will. Mike Hicks was a research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL, and apparently he died back in July of 2023 at the age of 59. But the cause of death was never made public, and no record of an autopsy being performed on him has ever been found. Now, on its face, that might not sound like such a big deal, but his is, as you point out, the 9th case of a person with ties to America's space and nuclear secrets who has died or mysteriously vanished in recent years, including retired Air Force General Bill McCaslin, who was reported missing by his wife more than a month ago. He'd been studying unidentified anomalous phenomena and potential non-human intelligence. Now, in common speak, that simply means aliens. And to be sure, the trend of unexplained deaths and disappearances is setting off alarm bells, both among national security experts and among lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
I think there's a message being sent in all this. I think we better be really careful. And it's more than 8. You take any other profession in the world, take car salesmen. How many of those have disappeared or died mysteriously in this in this country? And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of those. This is a very, very small group of people, and we better start paying attention to what's going on.
The great Tim Burchett speaking there. Another scientist missing, Monica Reza, JPL's Director of Materials Processing. She vanished without a trace last June, just months after beginning her tenure at the NASA lab. And perhaps most vexing of all, because of the nature of the research being conducted and the unusual circumstances surrounding many of these disappearances and deaths, we have scant new information, Will, about leads, though the investigation, we are told, at this very hour does continue. Will.
Either independently or connected, Congressman Burchett also has told TMZ that he has had conversations with high-level figures in the American government that we have, in fact, had contact with extraterrestrials.
No laughing, no X-Files music. I mean, it's pretty cool, huh?
It is very cool. The tides are turning. Burchett was in the news recently. He came out and said, "Oh, if you knew about this stuff, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night." And he's getting a lot of flack for that, understandably so, because people don't get the.
I think it's this one.
The idiots in charge don't get to decide what's going to keep me up at night.
Exactly, man. We're all adults. We're all adults. Yeah, and reality is reality. You can't. But they try to classify reality, keeping us in this bubble. So yeah, these guys, man. But I think this is the clip you're talking about.
Was there something that if we knew, we would feel that we are in danger? You said you wouldn't sleep at night if you knew the things that I saw in these briefings.
Yeah,
should we believe that? That's the part where it seemed alarming.
I don't think we're at danger of this. I mean, if these things exist as I think they do, they could have destroyed us with a blink of an eye. I just don't see that, and I think that's. I just think, but I do think they have the technology and the capabilities of something that we can't understand or we can't grasp.
What I want to make sure I'm understanding is a member of our government has told you and others, I guess, that there is a form of alien life and machinery which maybe brought this living creature here that interacted in some form with people?
Yeah, they have. And they've, It's pretty wild. I know. But I'm just telling you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd take a lie to tell you. You want to put me on a polygraph, I'll take it. But, this is what the guy told me. I mean, I've had a very high-ranking naval official describe, I've talked about this before, underwater craft, something big as a football field, moving at over 200 miles an hour. And there's no fish in the ocean that would do that. We don't even have a sub that'll probably do 40 miles an hour under the. And the last thing he said before he left my office was, it was kind of weird because he didn't go out he went out the side door, which nobody ever uses. And he looked at me, he pulled me up close, and he said, "Tim, they're real."
Yeah.
Tim, they're real. Oh God.
Let's
all
go.
over the news. He's been all over the news, huh?
Yeah, he's in terms of politicians, I think he's one of the better ones.
Yeah. And when it comes to this subject, he has a direct line to Trump, apparently.
Right. Not that Trump would listen to him.
Yeah, right. Because he's not Israeli.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And here he says that they've identified McCaslin as the UFO gatekeeper.
What happened with this two-star general?
He's the guy that was had a lot of nuclear secrets and was allegedly the gatekeeper. And I've been told by several sources that he was the gatekeeper for the UFO stuff. And of course, his family says, "Oh, he didn't have anything to do with UFO." But these people are people of honor.
Well, they didn't want to die either.
Yeah, and they don't tell their families. So their family isn't a target.
And Congressman, I understand there's others too, right? I was seeing that there's like a whole bunch of scientists that are also tied to some top secret stuff.
Yes, ma'am. The lady that disappeared, she had a lot to do with the metallurgy, the top secret metallurgy that we use in some of our missiles and stuff. I mean, it all just kind of fits together. And it's a very small fraternity. And anytime one of them, something happens to one, the others take note of it. And I was briefed this past week, and I'll just say that that group is very nervous. They are very nervous about what's going on.
So, I mean, we speculated about this, saying that these people are probably being taken out or kidnapped because of the war that's going on, or the different geopolitical landscape is changing, and maybe just like Operation Paperclip, how we took them from Germany and brought them here. So they're probably taking them and bringing them into the new empire that's being built.
They're probably in an underground bunker right now, just having a great old time.
Well, McCaslin looks like he did leave himself, right? Oh wait, we're an hour and 56 minutes. I guess we can quickly talk about this. But yeah, I mean, it does seem that he ran away.
Yeah, or went into hiding or something.
Went into hiding, yeah. And I remember Beatrice. You remember her? She did that study with with these objects in space in the 50s. No, before Sputnik even. And she used the astronomical plates to.
Oh, that's right. Yes, now I remember.
So someone
I didn't know what a plate was.
Yeah, the astronomical ones. But someone came and did another study independent of her, and they said that these objects did not show up when cosmic rays were high, which means because the argument was those plates were artifacts from the sun, from cosmic rays. But then this research says that those artifacts were gone when cosmic rays were high. So they were definitely objects then.
Yep.
They were attracted to nukes and our nuclear tests. So cool. I mean, other than that, we have the financial system that's doing a reset and all that stuff, but we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
There's enough bad news.
Yeah, let's keep it with the fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. A nice escape.
Yes, indeed. Adam, why don't you tell our audience where they can find us?
Well, you can find us since you already found us, we are on all of the platforms. If you found us on the podcast, we're on all of them, all the big ones, all the small ones. We're also on all the video platforms. If you found us on YouTube, we get censored a lot on YouTube. And even if you see all of our episodes, they make us take out a lot of content. So even if you don't see an episode missing, trust me, there's at least 10 or 15 minutes missing. So you can go to other platforms like Rumble, BitChute and Odyssey, those guys leave us completely alone. So at least the videos are up there.
And if you do find us on YouTube, you do have to like actually type in the search bar "Unidentified Anomalies Podcast." YouTube does a great job of burying us because they really don't like our opinions.
Right, and AI goes through everything. When you upload on YouTube, the AI goes through everything, not just the video. It goes through the entire transcript. So before even approving the post or the video.
Yeah,
so fun fact there.
And we're not exactly careful about who we criticize.
No, we're not. Even though the whole planet now is criticizing them, they still don't like it.
Nope, not at all.
You can visit us on X as well. We are at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher at all. Follow us over there. Interact with us. We love it. Let us know how we're doing. We do listen. We know we had a longtime listener saying, "Man, you guys are just talking about geopolitics too much." So we're like, he's right. So we're back to focusing on UFOs. Thank you for that comment, and we're going to do our best.
Yes, he also said the show has gone off the rails since I sobered up. Usually things like that go the opposite direction, but